Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you briefly today about one of the most confusing parts about real estate advertising today, and that is that the general public does not have access to the MLS database. Um, all of those websites you see online, like Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, there's a ton of them. Those are not the direct MLS. Those are third-party companies that make money by either paid advertising or by selling your contact information as a lead to other potential buyers agents. And to understand this a little better, I like to give a little history lesson. Some of you, especially 80s kids like me, you may have seen, there's a movie with Tom Hanks called The Money Pit from the 80s. And I get a kick out of this movie because the real estate agent that he's using in the beginning, if you watch the movie, you'll see him flipping through a physical book. He's going through the listings, which is a physical book. But back in those days, the way it would work is that, real estate agents, they would join MLS, they would send photos and information to the MLS, and MLS would publish a physical book like every 2 or 3 weeks. And when it would come in, people would go to the real estate agents to see everything that's available, and they pull out this book about the latest stuff. That's just the way the business was done back then. Well, as you know, something called the internet came along. In the mid-2000s, things changed very quickly. And what happened was there was third-party companies started popping up. Realtor.com is a big one. And what they did is they somehow got access to the MLS database, without our permission, and they start advertising, everybody's listings on their websites for free. Well, as you know, nothing's really for free, so the way that they're gonna make money is by, they offer some paid programs, but a lot of them will sell your contact info to a bunch of local buyers agents as a potential lead to follow up, a potential client. So the reason I like to explain this especially is because, I just met someone last week. They're looking to downsize. We have a great relationship. But she admitted to me, she's like, I went to this open house. But before I went to the open house, she's like, I went online and I told them that I was going. And this guy calls me up and says, oh, I'll take care of you. I'm going to let you know they're coming. So she's like, I go to this open house and I ask about this guy. And it turns out he doesn't even work for the company. She's like, I don't know. She's like, explain to me what's going on. How does this work? And so I went over it with her. I said, look, the public does not have access to MLS. You went on some website, and when you plug something in, she's like, you're sold off to a buyer's agent as a lead. I mean, that's just the way they do business nowadays, unfortunately. So she's like, what do I do? And I said, contact me directly for everything. As your agent, I'm your buffer against all third parties, and I'll handle everything for you. She's like, oh, okay. Well, this has happened many times. I've had buyer clients sit down with me, people that I have great relationships with, and I explain this to them, and they're like, oh, like that's why all those people keep calling me. I said, yeah, if you go on Zillow and you just, you're being sold as a potential client. And the other reason this is important is because, I've invested in these programs on and off over the years, because it really is, it's a great way to meet people from people that are coming from out of state that don't have an agent. If you're the first one to get in touch with them and you call them and develop a relationship, it can be a decent way to make clients. But the thing I found is that a large portion of the people that come through, they'll say, I want to see this house. And I'll call them up and I'll be like, are you working with an agent? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm signed up with so-and-so. And I'm like, do you realize that I'm not the listing agent? And they're like, what? And I have to explain to them how the whole process works, because to be honest, I've even met a bunch of real estate agents that don't understand this. So it's just the way the world works now. Long story short, if you're working with an agent or you don't have an agent, please be aware that those third-party sites are going to sell your information. And the benefit of working with a buyer's agent or a seller's agent, either way, is to have that physical buffer. I tell people all the time, I said, send me the links. I said, if you see anything, I have my own site, but I said, if you see anything, just please contact me directly. Do not plug your information into the internet, because you're going to get sold. If you have any more questions about this, about how it works, about my own site, about the business, hit me up. I'm always glad to chat, and until next time.